Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Running Tales podcast. My name's Craig Lewis, and this is the podcast where we tell the extraordinary stories of everyday runners. Now, before we get on to talk a little bit more about this week's guest, George Puckett, I wanted to just give you the chance to go and do that all important like and subscribe thing. Go and give us all the backing you can. Tell all your friends about it. If you are on Spotify or YouTube, you can comment and let us know what you think of this and other podcasts. We really, really appreciate it. Love to hear your views, and it does help give us that little algorithmic boost. You can also find out more about Running Tales on our website, runningtales.co.uk, or on our Substack newsletter, runningtales.substack.com. So please check that out. Loads and loads of stuff on there for you to get involved in. But enough of that. Enough of me trying to promote Running Tales. Let's get to the story this week. And it's the story of George Puckett. Now, George, back last year, wasn't happy, and he just couldn't quite put his finger on why. Lived in a beautiful home in Abergavenny on the edge of the stunning Brecon Beacons. He has his fiancee and his year old boy alongside him. But in the midst of making that life, George had forgotten to take care of himself. He was eating whatever he wanted. He wasn't exercising, and he had ballooned to around about 130 kilos. That's 20 stone. Struggling with his confidence, struggling to sleep properly, and suffering with panic attacks and palpitations. So, towards the end of last year, George decided it was time to make a change, and that change was that he decided he was going to do an Ironman. That's the Ironman Weymouth 70.3 this September. So he's training hard at the moment. He's already lost more than 30 kilos, around 5 stone, and he's well on the way to his journey of going from, as his Instagram account states, Fatman to Ironman. So today, folks, it's my chat with George Puckett. I hope you enjoy it. So hi George, and welcome to Running Tales. Thanks so much for joining me today. I want to start this conversation, I suppose, around about a year ago, maybe a little bit less than that, where when you were in a situation, as I understand it, where things on the surface look quite rosy. You're father to a 1 year old, you've got a fiance, you're living in the beautiful Brecon Beacons, but actually, I mean, I'm sure those things were great, but under the surface, everything wasn't quite as good as it seemed.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think, where everything began, especially with the journey I'm on at the moment, and I'm still going to go on it. I guess it started with, yeah, everything was fine on the outside. I've got a lovely home. I've got a lovely dog. You can see him there, led down. There
Oh,
he is.
bless him.
I've got a lovely fiance, which, we're not married, but we're going to get married at some point. I've got a beautiful boy, and everything's sweet, really. Like I'm living quite a nice life, so I definitely appreciate that. But I think because of that, I lost myself a bit. I just was I knew it really. I wasn't. I didn't have any self care. I was putting on a bit of weight, and it's just because everything's cushy. So I completely forgot about myself. And it was only until sort of maybe, so when did my journey start? 2nd of November, I'd say. 3 to 6 months prior to that, I really started. It was almost like my body and my brain was like forcefully telling me you need to do something about it. Lose weight. You need to go on a health kick, because I had all these particular symptoms.
Mm. And talk us through some of those symptoms and how
Yeah.
you were feeling at that time.
Yeah. So look, I've always been quite open about this. When I was maybe 18, around that time, I remember once I was with my friends. Long story short, and I had these palpitations in my chest. And I'm like, oh my god, I think I'm having a heart attack. I really was like worried about it, and I had to go for this long walk. And it got to a point where I was like, I feel like I'm actually having a heart attack here. I ended up going to this this old couple. They were just, I think, just come back from Asda, just emptied their shopping. And I went out to her and said, sorry, but could you call an ambulance? I think I'm having a heart attack. Anyway, this is when I was 18, and it turns out it was a panic attack, anxiety. I didn't even, I never knew, I didn't know anything about it.
Mm.
And I sort of dealt with it back then at the time in a particular way, and that was that. And it sort of went. I never really had anything like that again, only until recently, where just out of nowhere in the middle of the night, like I just wake up and my heart would go again. But because I had it years prior, I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is an anxiety attack. But because I was unhealthy and because of this, I couldn't help but have probably health anxiety and think, what happens if it's not anxiety? So I'm getting in my head there, and then I'm like, what if it is? And then it makes it worse. And so, and it happened a couple of times, and I had to say to my partner and say, look, these things keep happening, and I'm not too sure why. Even though deep down I knew, I think it was because of my health.
Mm.
So it was actually those symptoms, and then what on the back of that, I ended up getting, I started getting lack of sleep, and then I just started getting really fatigued, and I couldn't concentrate, and I didn't massively feel myself. But like a lot of people, I guess I was trying to hide it to a certain extent because I don't want to openly, or at the time anyway, just want to go, hey everyone, look, I'm having this. I'm not sleeping well. You just don't do that.
Mm.
Where maybe we should, but it's just one of those things you can't help. But like because of our starting conversation, people might be like, well, why? He's got, look what, he's living in a Brecon Beacons in a house and got this, that, and the other. So I don't want to almost feel self-centered and self-absorbed. Like, but actually, health is it's like almost number one. Now I'm doing this now. It's such an important thing. How you can't pour. What I forgot what the phrase is. You can't pour from a glass empty or whatever the phrase is. But yeah. Anyway, so that realistically, they were the symptoms to answer your question. Was just it was panic attacks and insomnia on the back of realistically my health.
Mm. No, I think it's really interesting actually because um, sometimes when people are talking about mental health issues and anxiety and whatever it may be,
Yeah,
the feeling is, oh, there has to be a really strong reason behind it. And sometimes there is,
yeah,
childhood
yeah,
trauma
yeah,
or whatever in some people's
yeah,
cases. But other times there's just like not. You suddenly just don't feel right. You don't feel yourself. And that can
yeah,
come
yeah.
from nowhere, can't it?
It really did. It felt like it came from nowhere because I was always feeling fine. I was always happy, cheerful,
Mm.
everything. Like a lot of us. I have been through a fair bit. With my father, I lost my father, and X, Y, Z. I have been through a bit, but I at the time and in the moment, I've grieved, I've dealt with that, and everything was fine. It was just like my body, my brain was like saying, no, something is wrong here. You need,
Yeah.
and then deep down, I kind of knew that. I think actually it's just my health. I think I just need to sort it out.
Mm.
And it took a bit of a mental fight to be like, right, you got to do it, got to do it, and then just one day I was like, right, I'm going to do it.
So was there a moment when everything clicked, where you thought, yeah, I do have these issues, things are not right, and I need to try and do whatever I can do about this?
Moment, yeah. I mean, I could realistically span it over a period of months, but I
Mm.
guess in a moment there was really. I went for a walk with the dog, and it was on my head that day specifically. I think I had a rough night. I think where my heart was going, and I didn't think I slept well. And I just come back to work after having the boy, um, and I just went for a walk, and I just remember thinking, I, this is just too much. I need to do something about it now. So I actually, like I said, I made a video that was specifically for myself
Mm.
at the time, and it was just to talk into the camera and say, look, I'm gonna do something wild. I'm gonna do an Ironman, and this is when I'm 130 kilograms, and no one's ever gonna believe it. I'm gonna do this and raise money for charity, £1,000, and at the time it was just so unrealistic because it was like, hang on, maybe a step at a time. Let's maybe just lose a stone first, etc. But yeah, it was just that specific walk that changed it. The next day I started.
Yeah. What do you think it was that made you go down that route? Because you might have thought, oh, do you know what? I need to go and speak to the GP. I need to get some counselling. I need to do 101
Yeah,
other things that were other options. I mean, were you already a sporty kind of guy?
not particularly. I think prior, yeah, I think years ago, I was very fit. I was very healthy.
Mm.
Yeah, I was into sports and I was always in shape. But I guess I knew from when I stopped, which was probably about 8 years ago, realistically, from stopping just everything self care. To be honest, when I say
Mm,
that, it was more when I say stopping self care, it's more actually it was I was just very content, I think, and very happy, and I accidentally like let go of self care. So it wasn't like I purposely went, I don't care about myself. I think I just
mm.
no, everything's all cushy. I don't need to do anything. Um, yeah. So the reason I didn't, particularly go to doctors or anything like that. Well, I guess is because I'm fortunate enough to know myself quite well and know what it was, what was the root cause. And for me, I think if I knew the root cause or what I thought was the root cause, anyway, let's do something about it. And I'm a believer as well of I think if I were to help, sort mental health out first, maybe I should sort my physical body out. So there's physical and
Mm.
mental, isn't there? And I think they go hand in hand. And if I'm mentally not okay, which clearly I wasn't, but because of I was having all these symptoms, I think maybe I was like, if I could sort my physical out, and then if I did sort my physical out and I was still having problems with mental, I think at that point I choose to go down the that route. But that's just my personal thing. That's just the way I
Mm.
approach it. I am an absolute advocate and support people who go, actually no, I do think there's something, and I'll go see someone, speak to someone. Everyone deals with it in their own particular way, but I think for me it was that side of things. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was it that made you sort of think, do you know what? I'm going to do an Ironman. I'm going to do something huge rather than just go, I'm going to do a bit of jogging and maybe I'll do a park run.
Wow, because I want I want people to say you can't do it, and I almost want it so I tell myself you can't do it. If I think of something
Yeah.
crazy, if I could say you can't do that, I'm almost arguing myself saying I can, and
Mm.
I will. Tell me I can. I would rather people tell me I can. So something big like that, people are going to say you can when you can, because it's achievable. You can do it. I know it's massive. I'm starting off with the
Yeah.
70.3, and we'll go from there, shall we?
Because I suppose what you're almost saying there is like, if you'd have given yourself the 5K park run as an aim, then you may have just gone, nah, I can do this, and it would have slipped, and it might never have happened, and you'd
Yeah,
still be where you were in November.
yeah. No, exactly. I think that's it with me. Again, everyone's different, but I think with me
Mm.
specifically, it was more if I just said, "Oh, let me get to a 5K and do a park run, and I don't know, try and do it in 30 minutes." It's just not. It's just not big enough for me. I needed it to be like, oh, imagine if I could do that. If I did do that, I can really brag.
Yeah. So, so,
you
so
know.
talk to us about like the I suppose the specifics, the details of it. When it's going to happen. You mentioned it's going to be a 70.3, and also
Yeah.
you've mentioned that you're using it to raise a little bit of money for charity.
Yeah, sure. So, look, I on the 1st of November, I made this video and I went, right, I'm going to do an Ironman, and I spilled off a loads of other bits and bobs, which maybe in the future I'll show people and put on my Instagram. But um, that's what I said. The next day, I was like, right, I'm just going to train for it. And I probably ran for a minute and it was blowing, and I was like, oh my God, what? That's crazy. Thank God I hadn't told anyone.
Yeah.
Um, and then I just kept doing it. I just kept running, and I went on a particular diet. I'll get into that if you want in a minute with my diets and whatnot. But I was
Mm.
130 kilograms. But the specifics of, like you said, your question is, yeah. So it's an Ironman. My aim is to run or do the Ironman 70.3 in Weymouth on September the 20th. For a charity called Talk Club, which is mental health, realistically mental health awareness. They're a great charity. I've been speaking to them. I was going to volunteer for them, but I think because of my busy life at the moment, I'm not going to be able to. But they're such a brilliant charity. They talk about mental fitness instead of like mental health. It's more of checking in with how you are, and I really do recommend to do it because you get their app and you can just log how are you out of 10, how are you feeling out of 10, and if you're really low, I mean they offer therapy and everything. They can do it. You can get it all through the charity for free. Obviously, donations and fundraising is realistically how they run. So that's all I decided to do it for. The Ironman is the Ironman 70.3 September. I I, I've got a coach at the moment who I use, which I'll talk to you about in a minute if you want. But and why I reached out to him. But I was like, maybe I could do the Swansea one in June, and he was like, bit too soon, mate. So I was like, yeah, you could be right there actually, because yeah, which I'm kind of glad about it. So yeah, that's the details. That's what I'm going to do. Ironman 70.3 September 20th in Weymouth.
Oh, awesome. I definitely want to get onto some of that nutrition and the specific training
Yeah,
and so on in a bit, but I
yeah,
just wanted to talk to you a bit more about that video because obviously you made it. It hasn't, if I'm correct, been published yet,
yeah,
which I suppose leads to two questions. I mean, one, I guess basically why haven't you put it out there yet when you put the story out there? And two, um, almost like a video like that can be, I suppose, used as an accountability thing. Are you
yeah.
like, does it provide that accountability even though you've not put it out there publicly yet?
So look, I'll tell you, this is what happened.
Hmm.
I put it out there and I went, oh, I don't know. I took off. Then I put it out there and I took off. And that's what happened. I just was like, oh, I don't know. Like, it's quite an uncomfortable thing.
Yeah.
It's brave, if you want to call it, for someone who's overweight, feeling low, feeling down, looking at a camera, saying, look, I'm not feeling great. I need to do something about it. And
Hmm.
then, like, I did want to put a bit of a montage of me being like that and me being out there. And I must admit, I'm in a bit of a fight between myself of, shall I do it, shall I not? So that's why you've seen it. And that's why you're probably a bit like, wait, where has it gone? It's there and it may come back out. And that's what that is, because the whole, I, you know, the whole reason I'm doing this Instagram page is for accountability, like you said. It is mainly for me. I'm not doing it for attention and watch me and everything. It is just so I can just sort of prove, look, this is what I'm doing, and any support's great, and I'm getting it, and that's amazing. Two people talking to you, everything is it's like motivating me more.
Hmm.
But the when I first started, I actually was like, right, okay, I'm losing this weight now. I lost about probably a stone and a half at this point. I'm going to make an Instagram account, and I'm going to count down until 100 days from when I started.
Yeah.
And I started counting down. If you go on my Instagram, the Fatman's at Ironman, you can see, if you scroll right down, you'll see where I start counting down. It's like 37 days, 36 days.
Yeah.
I was doing it, so I'll make this video of, look, this is how I was 100 days ago, and this is how I am now. I just wanted to do that so people could be inspired and be like, wow, if that's what you can do in 100 days, and then if people think that, they might believe that I'm going to do an Ironman. And that's the
Hmm.
whole reason why I did it. And then, but I got a bit, like I said, oh, I don't know, should it be? So instead, I've just sort of been releasing, just doing typical runs, updates, telling what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, making a bit of fun of it, and promoting, obviously, me raising money for the charity and what I'm doing. And I'm just weighing up that video realistically. So that is why you'll be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah.
and looking at the training and the nutrition and all that kind of thing, you obviously got through that first very short run, out of breath. Did you immediately think, oh, do you know what? I need a bit of expert help on this?
Yeah. So yeah, I did. So I've got a coach, but realistically, I've done, I have tried losing weight before and I failed after 2 weeks. It's the typical 2 week sort of window people do, or even 4 week. And I just want to push past that mentally, really. So the first probably 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, was just purely eating. I just wanted to focus on eating.
Hmm.
I can go into that in a minute, but then when I did start going on my first runs, yeah, I would say I was like, and I started going to the gym. I was like, what the hell am I doing? It was just so random. I didn't have any routine or anything. And then I started getting these real big cravings, and it was almost like I just wanted to slip and just, oh, I can't do it. I just want to go back to eating pizza and having beer or whatever, So I did reach out. That was the point when I really was like, I could go back to my old ways very easily. That's when I reached out. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
And with the nutrition, I mean, you spoke about those original 2 weeks. Was it a case of, just a straight on going on a diet or a bit of abstinence or I've
Yeah,
got
so
some healthy eating plans? I don't know.
well, I tell you what it was. I made that video, and then the next day, I think I just went on YouTube, and I don't drive for a living, but I do a lot of driving in my job. So podcasts, I can listen to them when I'm driving around, which I do a lot. So when I was driving, before I went driving, I was like, right, let's find a podcast. I was like, no, let's find a weight loss podcast. So I just typed in weight loss, and I think do you know Diary of a CEO?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So I typed in Diary of a CEO weight loss, and it came up with all these things, and I was listening to them, and sure they're controversial and etc. But they went on to the keto diet and what it does to insulin, and then they were really talking about insulin. And
Hmm.
then I didn't know lots about this, but this is all new to me. I was like, oh, that's well interesting. So that's what I did. I basically went on a quite a hard keto diet just because I wanted to reset my insulin. Because when I looked into insulin, I was like, that's actually a massive, massive thing. So that was the first stage. Whether it was right, whether it was wrong, I'm not on that. I'm not doing it anymore. But my first step was I actually just did a month strip of doing a ketogenic diet, but it was really hard. I was like really, really struggling, and like I was like, oh man, I'm not sure if I did because it wasn't sustainable. And I
Hmm.
think what I'm doing now, I think to lose weight and to change your lifestyle, it needs to be you need to enjoy it. You need to be sustainable. Yeah, so those 2 weeks of or 4 weeks, let's say, 2 weeks without training was just purely eating, and it was just essentially I just went on keto. I wasn't tracking calories, nothing. I was just more aware. Oh, and also fasting. I was doing fasting. I was doing 24-hour fasting once a week. I did a 36-hour, and then I still now, since I started, I've been doing intermittent. Well, which I like to call it time restricted eating, because I just basically from 12 to 8 is when I eat, and I eat 2 meals, and it's working. It works for me. Everyone's different, but it definitely works for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose with that, and when you started to do that gym work and that running, was the feeling of I feel a bit better? Was that instant? And did it help your obviously you're physically getting better, but was it instantly better for you mentally as well?
Yeah, so I would say, honestly, after 2 weeks of just eating to a diet where, like, I was like, this t-shirt feels a bit smaller, and it was just something like that. Was like, that's enough. That's
Yeah.
enough for me to keep going. This t-shirt feels a bit smaller, and then I exercised, and I was like, this t-shirt is definitely smaller, and it's just small things like that. I wasn't even weighing myself. I weighed previously, and I was like, I'm not going to weigh because that's something that'll throw me off, and it's not something that's realistically doesn't measure fat. It just measures what's in you.
Yeah.
So I was just going off clothes. I weighed once a month, and so like after 2 3 weeks, I was like, yeah, it was those things. It was smaller t-shirts that was really that was when I was like, oh, it feels a bit, and then it kicked in, like everything was up, and then I started sleeping better because I'm exercising, I'm eating better, so I'm sleeping better. Next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I haven't had any of those hard things for about 3 weeks since I started it. It all makes sense. Maybe I was right. It was more health anxiety than anything,
Mm.
and that's it. So it was fairly instant. I wouldn't say it was a next day job. Actually, if anything, I was like, oh, but I know it's going to help in the long run. But it was as soon as that t-shirt started feeling a bit smaller, that's when I was like, okay, I could get used to this.
Yeah. And I suppose you've sort of answered this question, but what would your advice be to someone who else was in that situation and they're looking to get moving on that kind of journey that you've started on? Because we've both talked about
Yes.
how you've not got to the end of it yet. But what would you say to
Yes.
that person and when they're maybe doubtful after that first week or two?
Um. Yeah. So what I would say is that if you're doubtful, you're doing something that you're not making it enjoyable and it's not sustainable. I think the sustainability is what's made me keep going. So
Mm.
when I really struggled, okay, that ketogenic diet wasn't sustainable for me. It was good for what I think that happened was for insulin and for everything that was probably negative and getting rid of visceral fat, etc. That's what I think. That's how I felt. But whatever is going on isn't say so. Maybe whatever it is, maybe they're training too much. Maybe they're not eating the right thing that's not working for them. Maybe they're something in within that isn't working. So that's why you want to drop it because you don't like it. You need to sort
Mm.
of to have a new lifestyle. You need to. Well, you're going to want to enjoy it because I think that's why diet. The word diet isn't great because it just makes it sound like oh, I'm on a diet, and it's just
Yeah,
like that's temporary. You know,
yeah,
a diet is temporary. Where you don't want to go on a diet. You want to go on a lifestyle journey. You know, so that's what I would say is find what it is. Talk to me then. So what is it? Is it what are you doing? Are you running too much? Oh, maybe you're running too much, or maybe you're working too much. You're not resting. Oh, if you've worked out 7 times this week. You need to have a rest. You're not.
yeah,
That's not
yeah,
sustainable. Oh, you're eating that particular diet. Well, look, why don't you just have a if you completely miss your chocolate, have one square. Why not? You'll be okay, and then maybe
mm,
go for. It's just something sustainability that was such a big thing for me, and that was what realistically I massively picked up from my coach 100% because
yeah.
that's
I
the
think that
word he used.
definitely, I think that's so true, and the enjoyment is so true because I will talk and extol the virtues of running. For you, obviously, you're doing running and cycling and swimming
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
But people have got to enjoy them, and it's like
yeah,
I always say to people, do not start on a running journey if you just absolutely hate it. Now, there's a chance
yeah,
that 2 or 3 weeks down the line you'll grow to love it, so
yeah,
give it a go. But if you
yeah,
hate it, go to the gym, go
yes,
cycling, go
yes,
swimming, go and play dodgeball. Do whatever it is that you
yeah.
enjoy, because otherwise it ain't gonna last and it isn't gonna work for you.
Yeah, exactly, and and you're exactly right. I think if I started this journey and I was like, I'm just going to run, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have probably carried on because I don't. It's running's quite hard to get into, especially if you have never done it or you haven't done it for years and years.
Yeah,
So like you just said, yeah, I went to the gym and I just went on the treadmill. The reason I started really liking running actually is because I went on treadmill. When I first started, I was like, bloody hell, I've just got to 2 minutes. And then well, that was when I first started. I could barely get to 2 minutes. And then I was like, oh my God, can I get to 5? And I started challenging myself.
mm.
Next thing you know, I'm running for 10, then 15, and then I'm going for a 5K. And I'm like, oh my God, like 3 weeks ago, I was only but that was only because I was going to the gym. I was just warming up on the treadmill. I didn't start with running, and I think that's bang on with what you said. Especially in terms of running. And anyway, I think running is more of you getting that achievement. You're like, wow, I just ran for 5 minutes. I couldn't do that 2 weeks ago. And then there's comes addicting in a way.
No,
So
I completely agree because I've seen it with other people. I mean, I suppose I'm one of those people who, not to say I was ever any great runner or anything like that, and I'm not now by any means, but I've always sort of done it. But I've seen people who started from scratch, and their journey is so amazing because the incremental steps that they're constantly taking
yeah,
bring so much encouragement to them and so much joy. And it's almost, I mean, in a weird way, I don't think anyone wants to start from where you were or from where otherwise. You don't
no,
want to be there. But once
no,
you start that journey, it's a wonderful
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, like, and I'm still no runner, yet. I'm gonna be, but the fact is that I can run a 10K now is just like, oh, that's amazing. It's amazing that I can do that. Look at myself. It's only November, and like
Mm.
I couldn't have run 1K kilometer. I really couldn't have. I really would have struggled. I did struggle. Um, and that's it. It's those achievements, and I think definitely for a beginner, you do get those. Wow, you do 1K, 5K, 10K. Then I'm going to do a 15 and a 20 and then a half marathon, and
Yeah.
so on. And it's like you get all that. I guess when you get into the real nitty gritty high level, that's when you're like, you probably won't see those barriers and achievements so often because you've smashed them now, and you're
Yeah.
you're really in that sort of elite level. So, but luckily, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, you reach. Oh, good. Geez, I'm not there either. But you reach that. There's some people who reach that kind of stage where, oh, I'm not getting better anymore.
Yeah,
I've got
exactly.
3 months rest so I can get worse to get better again.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Well, as soon as you get that good, you're gonna have 6 months off, I think.
Yeah, that's it. So in terms of your journey so far,
Yeah,
what has it brought to you? Because I think there's obviously
yeah,
mental health benefits, there's weight
hmm
loss,
yeah,
and you're up to 10K. How's it all looking?
yeah. Really, really good. So I've lost, well, probably nearly 32 kilograms now. I'm weighing tomorrow, but I'll be closer around that. So 32 kilograms. I'm not sure what that is in stone. It's a lot. And that is, and it is. I think I get judged for this in a way where it's in a short period of time. I haven't done anything in particular that's aggressive or anything unhealthy. I have just been, like I said, just exercising as much as I can and eating as well as I can. I'm not doing anything where it's dangerous for me. I've just lost it in a fast way. My body wanted it essentially, so I'm quite fortunate in that sense. Um, but yeah, so the weight loss, 100%, that has been a mega benefit. My confidence, I like pictures again. I used to just, I don't know, my partner would take a picture of me. It could be doing anything, and I go to see it, and oh no! Now I'd be like, "Oh, I don't even look bad in that one. Yeah, well, I've got new profile pictures. I've got this and that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just getting a little bit more confident. And I'm able to talk to a camera and think, oh, not judge myself. So confidence, and I
Oh,
was
I lost
talking.
your. Oh, you're back. Lost your audio for a second there, George, but
No,
you're
no
back now.
prob,
So yeah,
no
sorry, you were just
prob.
saying about your confidence.
Yes, yes, no worries. So I'm back. I was just saying, so my confidence is back, and that complements my mental health.
Hmm.
It all comes in one. So yeah, I'm enjoying that weight loss, confidence. I'm sleeping a lot better because of the exercise. It's become like a real hobby. Like I've got my own cupboard full of stuff now. I've got creatine, I've got proteins, I've got this and
Yeah.
that. I love it. I like my trainers, and I'm looking at it. It's become a hobby. It's become like, oh, I really enjoy it. It's
Hmm.
not just I'm losing weight. It's like become a thing. So like, oh, I'm instead of like the Ironman being like this big challenge, now I'm actually really looking forward to it. And I'm doing like these other things. Me and my friends have just said, oh, let's do a half marathon together in April. All
Yeah.
these things coming up. It's exciting. That's what I've gained. I've gained a hobby as well. I've gained like just this new. It's like I've opened a door and gone. It's like a breath of fresh air. Brilliant. It's
Hmm.
really, really good.
And in terms of like everyday life outside of running and outside of the triathlon, what kind of impact has that got? Are you now looking around where you're living and the rest of your life and going, do you know what? This is really cool, and I'm not ever quite sure what I was worried about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I actually, to be honest, I check myself all the time. I do think, look, this is great. I ain't got, and you're right. I haven't got anything where I got, you know, even going for I go for a lovely walk and the runs I go on and everything now. I appreciate more. 100%. Yeah, yeah. 100%. Absolutely.
So, What's the next part of the journey? More training, more running, more swimming and cycling, and just
Yeah,
getting out there.
yeah. So I've got to a stage now where I'm at a decent level of strength because it's not just purely about running. I obviously, as you know, so there's the running, the cycling, and the swimming.
Yeah,
So back here, maybe early January, before I even said I was going to do it to everyone, I wrote up this 2 month plan, and it was each month what I'm going to do, and I think so. I don't have it on me right now, and it'll take a while for me to find, so don't worry about that. But I'll try and remember off the top of my head. In January, it was run a 5K, and in February, it was get a 5K PB. That's all those goals were. Luckily, I ran more 5Ks. I've actually done 10Ks. I've got like a 10K personal best, which is an hour, which isn't, I know it's not amazing, but from where I came from, like that is amazing for me. Um, so it was run a 10K next week. Oh, this Sunday, I'm doing a 10K park run. Next week, I'm doing a 15K. The week after that, I'm having swimming lessons because swimming lessons is a massive thing. I know how to swim. I'm quite a confident swimmer, but I think there's a lot of technique to it that I need to learn. With the
Yeah.
breathing, so I'll actually start with the swimming, and then and that same week I'm gonna be doing, I think, like something like 20 kilometers. I think my aim is to do that week on the bike, and then so on. So I'm just adding all those things up. So I think basically it just keeps going up and up. So by the time it hits sort of August, like I'm fully fledged. So I've got quite a lot coming up that's gonna sort of really sort of hit home. Yeah, and this is where, now I'm getting to that 15 kilometers. Now I need to think about nutrition and how I'm gonna sort of feed my energy, because I feel like I'm doing it right, where I'm doing my journey and I'm finding out about these things as I go along. As people are like, after 10K, you're gonna want to keep yourself fueled.
Yeah.
Whereas I can do 10K now, I fuel myself a bit before. I usually have some sort of carbs before and I go for a run, but it's an hour. I haven't gone over that hour yet. So how is my body going to react? It's interesting, it's fun. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that's what I've got coming. I've got a 10K Sunday and a personal 15K at home on next week.
Oh, cool. And
Yeah.
with having had a coach, you may have avoided some of the worst things, but have you managed to make any of those beginner mistakes that most people who are new to running and some of these other sports do?
Yeah, well, give me an example because I probably have done it.
Oh, well, I guess lack of fueling is always the main one, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
that
no,
moment where you get 2 miles in and you collapse or whatever.
yeah, no, I've done quite a few things. To be honest, I've done every mistake there is, and I embrace those mistakes because I just like think, oh, blimey. So yeah, running too fast and trying to get X amount of time. I've learned a lot as well. It's like how effective just conversational pace can be,
Yeah,
because for a long period of time, because I just kept doing that. I read it or watched this somewhere. I was talking to someone. He said just conversational pace, go for a long time. And long time for me was an hour, and I just kept doing the 10Ks just at conversational pace. And then I went back to a 5K, and I was like, "What? I just took off 2 minutes."
yeah,
So it's like, and where I raised my heartbeat and actually went for it. I was like, "Whoa!" I just took off 2 minutes. So obviously, I know it's very. I'm obviously getting lighter as well. So I'm really taking off those times. Like I said, I haven't quite got into the nitty gritty yet, but yeah, mistake wise, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've had everything come in my way. I must admit, maybe not with mistakes, but at least with problems. With illnesses. I broke my hand. I don't. God knows how many times this winter. It's just like It's like the universe was like, I'm really going to test you, see if you really want this.
yeah,
So,
definitely. I mean, I know. I mean, well done on realizing that long, slow runs are the answer because it took me years to realize that. I just got injured all the time, every run, fast as I could. Like, why am I injured again? Because you're killing yourself, Craig.
yeah,
So yeah, you picked that
yeah,
one up nice and early. Uh,
yeah,
the other stuff, it all comes along. You definitely learn more. The more further you go and the bigger the challenges, the more these mistakes
yeah.
come along. But they kind of become like I think you're realizing they become part of the fun of the journey actually.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's it. Exactly. It is part of the journey, and it's very frustrating, I must admit, and I try and work things out. It's even the other day, yes, not yesterday, the day before, I went for a run in the morning and I just felt so sluggish and I really couldn't be bothered. I was like, oh, what is going on? It was only a 5K. I was just like, my brain was just like, you can't be bothered. My body was like, you can't be bothered. But I was still like, you're gonna do it though. And yeah, I wasn't quick, I wasn't anything. And then it just turns out, I just basically just was going off fumes. When I look back, I was like, oh yeah, no, of course, I didn't actually have any fuel in me whatsoever. So that's why everything was just reacting to it.
Yeah,
So I went in the morning, but with just zero fuel in me. I probably didn't drink nowhere near enough water. I was just like, it was like as if I rolled out of bed and thought, let's go for a 5K, when really you should probably fuel up a bit first. Get yourself a bit, even a 5K. For especially your early stages. For me, something like that. Yeah, gonna need fuel up a bit.
Well, you do get a lot of sort of gatekeeping within running where people go, oh, you don't need anything for a 5K, but it's really important to make sure that you're putting the right things in your body at the right time, particularly
Yes.
when you're starting out, because like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
yeah,
like, sorry, exactly. It's just like, yeah, 5K is a 5K, but I think when you're in early stages,
mm,
I can still feel that because I can run a 5K and get through it on no fuel, and that's what I did. It's
mm,
fine, but I didn't feel great. I was like, well, I can't be asked. I want to be bothered to go for 5K, so yeah, I could do it, but I just didn't feel great about it.
yeah. And with the actual Ironman itself,
Yeah,
do you have any? I mean, the Ironman is the goal. I kind of get that,
yeah,
but is there any
yeah.
goals within that in terms of, I don't know, time or what you're trying to achieve, or is it just doing it is the achievement?
So yeah, I think to be honest, doing it is the achievement. There is like a time I have in my head, but I don't think I can even really discuss that yet because of where I am in my journey. I
Mm,
like that time, but I can't predict it and calculate it because I'm just too early. I'm still too newbie to certain things with my swimming times, my running times, my cycling times. I can't, but I like to think with the amount of preparation I've got, would that give me enough time to be at a particular level of time? I'd like maybe 6.5 hours. That's what I'd like, but to calculate that prediction, I don't know. It's just more doing it. I must admit, it's more doing it. Is the achievement, and you know, I think if me and you were to talk a month before, I could probably give you a rough idea of, look, I want this.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's the 70.5, but the real ambition's the full one, but it's way too early to talk about that yet.
Well, I think that does come into another question which I was going to ask, which was
Yeah.
that this was a big goal. This was something to change your life from where you were, the anxiety, etc. Is it now such a part of you that you can see it always being with you?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because yes, yeah, 100%. The more I've gone on with this journey, the further my brain has gone.
Hmm.
So I think I always had the full Iron Man in my head, but that is just something that actually you have to respect, I think, to train for. And not that I just don't respect the 70.3.
Yeah.
I just think from being 130 kilograms to saying I'm going to do that, it is something where I would like to tread lightly with, really. But it is my goal. It's what I want to do, and I'll be honest, it's what I'm gonna do. When, etc. TBC. But yeah, like absolutely. It doesn't end with the 70.3. It doesn't. I think if I enjoy it and I get that real achievement, I get that buzz, it could be a real thing for me. I could be like, I'm going to sign up to two 70.3s next year, and
Yeah.
maybe a full one and this and that. And I've already like got, because I've missed so many half marathons. I wish I did that one, like the Bath halves this weekend. And because I live in the Brecon Beacons, but you could tell probably from my accent, I'm from Bristol. Um, and it's just the Bristol half, the Bath half, even the London Marathon. I probably wouldn't have minded to give a go. I do all right, slow pace, but so all these things, I'm like, so probably next year I'll probably be all over it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. It
know,
becomes an obsession.
I can tell by those medals. I think.
Yeah, 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 yeah. There's a few there. You have your own rack up there before you know it. Actually, I'm doing the Bristol half this year, and it's going to be a really nice one because my best mate, who I've known since school, he's doing it, and it's his first ever half marathon. He's kind of whenever we've gone out for a couple of beers or whatever, he's always been like, "Oh, just nah, I'll go to the
Yeah,
gym, but I'm not into that." But
yeah.
he's been persuaded, so yeah,
Oh,
Bristol half
nice,
is going to be his first one, so it's going to be a
nice.
really nice
I
one.
like when is the Bristol half? When it actually is that? I don't. I mean, I
Oh,
haven't.
I think it's next month. Do you know what? I should know, but I've booked
No,
myself
it's
into
fine.
far too many races and I can't remember the
Yeah,
dates of them all. But yeah,
yeah. I
it's next month, I'm pretty
I
sure.
would do. I would do it. I would, but Yeah, well, I think it's sold out anyway. Those ones do, don't they? They sell out quite rapid, the Bath, the Bristol. So
Yeah,
that's why I missed the boat with a lot of the ones I think I'd like to do,
yeah.
because you need to have it in advance. Where I've been on this journey and I've finally got into that sort of, "Ooh, I could do this." I'm a bit late to the party, so park runs etc. is probably what I'll have to deal with until my Ironman. Oh, I tell you what, I have got a big bike ride coming up. This is a big one actually. It's a friendly, fun bike ride, but you can take it as serious as you want. But it's still a 100 miler, which is from
Oh wow.
it's called Car 10. That's on the 9th of May, so I need to get prepped for that really, because that might catch me out a bit. But yeah, that's from Car 10 is from Cardiff to Tenby in Wales.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
yeah. So that's one.
In terms of taking on three different disciplines, how easy has that been? Because look, I've training for a marathon at the moment, and finding the time is blooming hard in its own right. But you've got to
Yeah.
try and master those or get proficient in three things.
Yeah, I haven't quite mastered it yet, if I'm completely honest. The running is I'm finding easier to grasp. I'm not too sure why. I just am. I just feel like that's so. But at the moment, I haven't. The weather, as you know, has just been
Yeah.
monstrous. So
Yeah.
I haven't I haven't been able to go out on the bike. So I guess what I'd have to do is how I'm dealing with my runs at the moment, hours wise, I'm probably putting in around maybe 5 hours a week training. So I'll have to substitute an hour and be like, right, that hour is going for my bike rides. Okay,
Mm.
one of those hours is going to go for the swim, one of those hours. And then I'll have to balance it out quite nicely. And then if I'm able to find more time, more pockets, to maybe get it to 8 hours a week, that'd be ideal. I could balance out the three main things: running, cycling, swimming in the week. And I still need to do strength training, of course. So yeah.
Oh, don't start me on strength training. I'm terrible. It's the one thing that always it just gets dropped, which is terrible, folks. If you're listening, don't be like me and drop your strength training. It's
No,
vital. But
I know. No, luckily I haven't dropped my strength training. I found it really, especially for weight loss, I found it really important for like, metabolism, etc. So yeah, I hope not to drop my strength training. I think I'll always dedicate a couple of hours to that at least, a
yeah,
week. And then, but yeah, I definitely that's how I intend to do it. So to answer your question, I haven't massively been doing it because I still need to do my swimming lessons, but I've still got a fair amount of time. But it is on my side at the moment. So the swimming lessons are to come. Like I said, I think I've got that planned in 2 weeks' time. Biking, I do it at the gym. So I do it as I'll just do a half hour to an
mm,
hour bike ride at the gym, and then sometimes I'll do strength training after, depending on how I feel. Um, and then with my warm ups, warm downs, yeah, I just balance it between like running on the treadmill and bike riding. But obviously, running outside is like a main thing, and then I'm going to need to cycle outside whenever the sun comes out. So yeah, yeah,
yeah. I know this is a journey that you're obviously doing. You're doing for yourself for the reasons we've discussed. But with the
yeah.
Instagram account and some of those other things, I think you've been able to have the ability, perhaps, to start inspiring other people to try and do the same thing. How important has that become to you?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, it's been amazing actually, because with that video I've released and unreleased and etc. A few people I've seen, a few of my friends, well, quite a few people have seen, and my friends like really picked up on it. I've got a couple of friends that they'll happily admit they were a bit overweight, etc. And it gave them the kick they needed. They're on a fitness journey, and just something like that is like that's just so worth it. Just that one person's worth it.
Mm.
And but there's been a few people who have been like, you talking to me about that has really gave me that sort of nudge. So, and if I could get someone who I don't know to one day maybe message me and say, you've actually kind of inspired me to do it. It means load. It's amazing. It's amazing. You know, I just it's amazing.
No, that's the lovely part of it, I think, and it's almost like you've got some way down the line to completing that virtuous circle within your own life of
Yeah.
nutrition and the training and everything else, and making you feel better. And because you feel better, you do more of that, and it's almost like then the next bit is you're starting to expand that circle out and other people, and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. And it's like it's just awesome to see. I mean, I love it. I love going to the gym, and when I talk to people, sometimes I think a lot of people have this when they go to the gym, especially if they're a bit overweight or they don't have the confidence or whatever it may be, and they go to the gym and they think, oh, what do people think? Like, anyone who is listening who has that sort of daunting feeling, let me just like reassure you, whenever I see anyone who is clearly trying to put in a bit of effort, whether they are overweight or not, and whenever I see anyone, I just think, go, good on you, keep going. Like, you're making, like, I love seeing it, and
Yeah.
when I was there, that was like my mindset of like, yeah, but I'm changing, and I hope people can like see that I'm putting in this effort. So yeah,
No, I think
yeah,
that's a really fantastic message, and I think it's definitely the same with running, and it's certainly how I
yeah,
approach people who are new to running. But
yeah,
with the gym, I'm one of those people with the gym, and I'm not. I'm a sort of normal weight, if you like, and so on. But
yeah,
I always
yeah.
feel like everyone's watching me and judging me
Yeah,
in the
I
gym,
think a lot of
but
people
they
have.
never are. But you feel
No,
that way.
no, no, never. No, never. Yeah, no. And but I think, yeah, in terms of running, definitely, I love it. Yeah, I don't you love it when you see someone who you could probably tell maybe they've just started or they've just started their journey back going again, and I just love seeing it. It's like, that's great. Like, you're going out and
Yeah.
you've decided that day you're going to go for a run and make a difference to you, not
Mm.
to anyone else but to you, and in that's incredible. Like, and I love seeing it, and I love it if people were to think that with me, if I was training, and they might think, I don't know, it's just one of those things. I just think there is actually positivity within your negative thoughts. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think there's so much power in running and in exercise and in
yeah,
fitness and in
yeah,
encouraging people and moving forward in your life. And obviously, what you've done is it's and are continuing to do is a really example of that. So,
yeah,
obviously, we're sort of getting towards the end now, but I wonder
yeah,
if you could maybe share with people where they could sponsor you if they want to do that, where they can find you and follow the rest of your journey.
yeah, sure. So yeah, look, I'm running for a charity, as mentioned, called Talk Club. That is on Just Giving, on the Giving fundraising website. If you type in Fatman's Ironman, you'll see it come up there. Also, my Instagram is the, with a THE, the Fatman to Ironman. And then the link is in the description there. I hope to set up other in social medias maybe in the future, but at the moment it's just those two realistically. So that's where to find me. The reason I chose that name, well, it says it all.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely work those in the show notes and get
Yeah,
that
cool.
all in there. Loving to see the rest of the journey from Fatman to Iron Man and everything
Yeah,
it brings you, because you can see already from how passionate you are about it that it's already made a huge difference, and that's just
yeah,
fantastic in itself. And I think, like,
yeah,
that George, you're going to go and smash that Iron Man, but the biggest thing is that you've smashed improving your life, and that's just
yeah, yeah.
wonderful to see.
I think that's it. Yeah, exactly. It's just made such a difference. My lifestyle change, everything. Like, I just, I can't recommend anyone doing it more. Just, and if anybody, I will talk to anyone. If anybody wants to reach out, message me, anything, I'll talk to them. And I really appreciate your time, and me and you talking. I really do. Like, it's
No,
been good.
it's been fantastic, George. Thank you so much for joining me today
Yeah,
on the Running Tales podcast. Thank you so much to everyone who's been listening in and hearing George's story. We'll be back with another Running Tale next week. In the meantime, if you can go away, give us those vital likes and subscribes. Tell all your mates about what we're doing when you're next out on a run or a bike or a swim in George's case. And yeah, we'll be back next week with another episode of the Running Tales podcast.